We're going to look at a couple of exam-style questions where we are applying our understanding of simultaneous equations. I am working on the assumption that you know about simultaneous equations and how to transpose equations. If you are unsure about simultaneous equations and how to solve them, then I've put a link to a video I made on this topic in the description below. So let's have a look at the first of these two questions. The diagram shows the lengths of the sides of an equilateral triangle in centimetres. Find the values of x and y and the perimeter of the triangle. First of all, notice that the question doesn't talk about using simultaneous equations. The question is drawing on your knowledge of mathematics in the hope that you know that the way to solve this problem is to use simultaneous equations. So let's do that. Because we know this is an equilateral triangle, we know that the sides x add 4 is equal to y add 2 and is equal to 4x subtract y. And because I know that this is a simultaneous equation problem, that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to use this information to make two simultaneous equations. Well, how do I do that? Well, let's begin by making two of the sides equal and then making an equation out of it. So I'm going to start with x add 4 is equal to y add 2. I'm then going to rearrange this to make an equation x subtract y is equal to minus 2. Again, I'm going to assume that you know how to transpose or rearrange equations. I'm just focusing on the approach to solving this problem. I now need to make another equation. This time I'll use x add 4 and make it equal to 4x subtract y. I could have used y add 2 and make y add 2 equal to 4x subtract y. It doesn't make any difference. I'm now going to rewrite this equation as 3x subtract y is equal to 4. So we now have our two simultaneous equations. I'm going to use the elimination method. We can see that we have in equation 1 a minus y here, and we have in equation 2 a minus y here. Now, if I was to subtract equation 1 from equation 2, we can eliminate y. Well, let's do that. Well, 3x subtract x gives us 2x, minus y subtract minus y, which is plus y, that now disappears, and then we have 4 subtract minus 2 gives us the answer 6. So that's 2x is equal to 6, x is equal to 3. I'm now going to substitute x is equal to 3 into equation 1. I could have used equation 2, it doesn't matter. So substituting x is equal to 3 into equation 1 gives us 3 subtract y is equal to minus 2, and this gives us y is equal to 5. Now we need to see if our values for x and y are correct by substituting them into our three sides given in the original question. So looking at x add 4, substituting in x is equal to 3, we have 3 add 4, which is equal to 7, and that's 7 centimetres. For y add 2, well, y is equal to 5, so we have 5 add 2 is equal to 7 centimetres, so that's encouraging. Now let's substitute x and y into our final side, which is 4x subtract y. So we have 4 lots of 3, subtract 5, which is equal to 12, subtract 5, which is equal to 7. So we know that our values for x and y are correct, and the perimeter of the triangle is 3 lots of 7 centimetres, which is equal to 21 centimetres. So that's our answer. Let's have a look at the second question. The diagram shows the lengths of the sides of a rectangle in metres. Find the values of x and y and the perimeter of the rectangle. Again, notice that it's not saying simultaneous equations, but we are going to be using simultaneous equations to solve this problem. It's a rectangle, so we know that the opposite sides are equal. So we know that 3y add 4 must be equal to 2x subtract 3. And we know that 3x subtract y must be equal to 2x add y. So we're going to use this information to create our two simultaneous equations. Let's begin with the two shorter sides. 3y add 4 is equal to 2x subtract 3. I'm going to rearrange this equation and we're going to end up with 2x subtract 3y is equal to 7. So that's equation 1. Now let's deal with the two longer sides. We have 3x subtract y is equal to 2x add y, and we can rearrange this so that we end up with x subtract 2y is equal to 0 or 0, and that's our second equation. Again, I'm going to use the elimination method. I can see that in both equations there is not an equal amount of x's or equal amounts of y. But if I was to multiply equation 2 by 2, I will have a third equation which will have 2x in it. Well, let's do that. Multiplying equation 2 through by 2, we have 2x subtract 4y is equal to 0. I'll label this equation 3. Now let's eliminate x. I'm going to do equation 1 subtract equation 3. Well, 2x subtract 2x is, of course, 0. We then have minus 3y subtract minus 4y, which of course gives us plus 4y, is equal to 7. So y will equal 7. I'm now going to substitute y is equal to 7 into equation 1. Again, I could have used equation 2, doesn't matter. So we have 2x subtract 21 is equal to 7, 2x is equal to 28, x is equal to 14. So we have our values for x and y, and hopefully, if we substitute these values into our original sides, we should end up with 3y add 4 is equal to 2x subtract 3, and 3x subtract y is equal to 2x add y. So let's start by substituting our values into 3y add 4. So we have 3 multiplied by 7 add 4, which is equal to 21 add 4, which is equal to 25. Now let's substitute x into 2x subtract 3, that's this side here. So we have 2 multiplied by 14, subtract 3, which is equal to 28, subtract 3, which is equal to 25. So the good news is that our two short sides are of equal length, which is 25 meters each. Now let's do the same for the longer sides. We have 3x subtract y, well that's 3 lots of 14, subtract 7, which is equal to 42 subtract 7, which is equal to 35. And finally we have 2x add y, well that's 2 lots of 14 add 7, which is equal to 28 add 7, which is equal to 35. So it looks like our values for x and y are correct. Now we need to work out the perimeter. So that's 25 add 25 add 35 add 35, which is equal to 120 meters. And so there's the answer. So there's a couple of questions where you have to apply your knowledge of simultaneous equations. Do check out my other video that I made on simultaneous equations if you're not sure about the approach to solving simultaneous equations. I've also done a series of videos on number work, so also check those out if you want to. But thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you in the next video.